We are so back.
Yes, we are.
It's never been more back than it is now.
It was so over for
It
like a
was
period of time, but now it's so
for
bad.
I would say like for a solid week and a half, it was pretty jover. But now we're back. We're rolling. We got yeah, this is season one, the official season one, which is definitely what our plan was the entire time. Um
Just from the
those
start.
first those first five episodes were fun. Considering those season zero, like our testing grounds, I think having never really done a podcast before, we kind of found our footing, and I had some fun, figuring out what worked, what didn't work. Um, yeah, I think going forward, like we're gonna give you guys a lot more focused content, things that we can, actually engage in conversation about with not only ourselves, but maybe open it up to you guys as well. But yeah, to everyone who stuck through and listened, I've seen your numbers. We appreciate you, and we just hope it gets a little bigger and a little better. But yeah, we've had a little bit. It's been a few weeks. A lot can happen in 3 weeks.
It's been 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I think the last time we filmed was the day of the solar eclipse.
Yep.
Pretty sure because I remember we filmed, and that was a long time ago. But we filmed, and then as soon as it was over, I walked outside and I was like, "Why is it? Why does it have like a filter on it? Like, why is the sky like so slightly like dimmed? Like
Yeah,
somebody like
who put the Paris filter on the sun?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't see the eclipse, like at all. It was
Not
just a nice, normal sunny day here.
really.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. My brother was, I think he was just out all day in San Luis, like 40 minutes away from here. And I didn't even ask if he saw anything, but some of my friends were like doing eclipse parties and everything. But here I looked outside and I was like, normal day. No eclipse for me.
That's slightly. I'm sorry about that because it was kind of fun to experience, but I
I've seen one eclipse. I don't remember when it was, but it was pretty cool. I
I
remember
always
my friend did not have glasses on, and yeah.
how are their retinas? Can they see
I
now?
think they're fine for now.
For now,
For now. In about
I,
5 to 10 years it might be
I was
dire.
in the opposite direction, and my eyes still stung.
Really
Yeah, it was just like it was that bright and
intense. Yeah. I
like I went
saw
that night, and there was like spots for a little bit. It was not a bad idea.
yeah, I saw those people on TikTok, they were like doing those videos where they were like domain expansion and then they would like turn off the sun and then it would get like dark and then they
Yeah,
would turn it back on. That's the kind of shit I like to see. I feel like the way our generation engages with natural occurrences like that is really fun because I mean, in all reality, yeah, it's pretty cool. We look at it, woo, but like as kids, we look at it and go, wow, that's really cool. I love science. But now we're like, how can we meme this?
yeah. Just immediately, how can it be like? Well, the best part too is that like sometimes they don't even make sense.
Hmm.
I just I think the best meme that I saw about the eclipse was that somebody, or the best like TikTok I saw about the eclipse is that somebody had their glasses on and they're like getting ready for the eclipse, and then they just like ate shit into a pole while they were walking, and then they turned around and started walking in the opposite direction. It had nothing to do with what was happening, but it had like an eclipse filter over like what was happening, basically. So like,
Nice. See, that's what I'm here for. I feel like the government doesn't know what they're taking away from us.
they don't. They really don't.
I
Honestly,
can't
if we were
live
being,
without my Chinese propaganda.
here's the thing: if we were being spied on, like it would be. I don't care. I'm not hiding anything. Truly, give me the funny videos. I need the funny videos. I need the brain rot. I think.
I feel like my FBI agent in my phone, the little guy in my phone, probably very confused.
I think when I'm not on my phone enough, he's probably like, "Oh, is he okay? Like, is he
Yeah.
happy?" Like,
Oh my God. I went out the other night for a friend of mine's birthday and I was like, yo, we should do one of those videos where it's like, how many girls are you talking to? 1,000. And then he's like in the corner. And so I was basically like on the calculator app in mine.
yeah,
And we are filming that part. And it's funny, like when you watch the actual video, it doesn't look staged. But when you're actually staging it and you realize how these videos are made, like it's actually kind of awkward. And so I was like, are you ready? Like, and I'm not in front of the camera usually. So I'm like, are you ready? Like, whatever. And she's like, action. And I'm like, okay. So filming this video on the calculator. And then after she cuts and walks away, this guy walks over to me, this like older guy. And he's like, yo, you better put that phone down and talk to these ladies over here. And I was like, no, 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 it was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke, I swear.
he took it too serious. He didn't see the camera.
He didn't see the camera. He just saw me calculating E equals MC squared.
You were doing that just like the theory of relativity, just like
Yeah.
for the we're figuring that
So
out.
I feel like that'd be more impressive in a bar than like actually talking to someone. Be like, hey, I just solved the theory of relativity on my calculator.
I was gonna say if you did like you make the video, you make the joke, but then immediately after, just go up to anybody and be like, "Hey, I solved the theory of everything." And you would talk to 1,000 girls, anybody, like not even you. Just impress. You get free drinks. You'd impress everybody.
It's the Oppie Riz.
Stop your risk.
Oppie Riz. I'll never get over the fact that he's just a Rizzler in that movie, man. And I'm reading American Prometheus right now, trying
Yeah,
to. It's very dense. Um, but like it's really funny how the characterization of Oppenheimer is basically spot on in the movie, even from just like because the way Nolan writes the dialogue, it feels like he's spinning a fiction about this story. It feels like a fictional narrative, but you know, it's based on true events. And you can really tell like what was embellished and what was taken from fact. Like there's some direct quotes from American Prometheus that are put in the movie,
yeah,
but basically the funniest thing was basically how it talks about how much of a womanizer he was
yeah.
and how some of his old friends and colleagues would recount that like he would miss lectures and not go to, you know, he wouldn't show up to teach his class because he was like trying to woo this woman or whatever. And then meeting Kitty is basically spot on from how they describe it in the book in the movie because someone recounted that he used like some theory to pick her up basically to impress her and that was his shtick. He would use some different theory of physics that he knew to like impress a woman. And I'm
You
like,
know,
that is the nerdiest shit ever.
so first of all, I was looking to see if I had the screenplay nearby because I was
Mhm.
gonna pull up the scene where he was like flirting with her. But
Mhm.
do you know how slick it is to talk about the concept of atoms passing through each other and then interlocking fingers with someone?
See, I was that's so smooth, man.
Like, I don't know. I thought about that last night for some reason. I was just kind of sitting in bed and I was like, how did he pull so much? How did he do that? That's not even a joke. I don't know why I was thinking
Just
about
a
it, but
little
like
skinny kid, man.
he went from like anxious, like panic attacks in his bed to like, yeah.
He's like, yeah, whatever.
He
Every
makes
Saturday night.
yeah, he makes a joke too about like he's like somebody I can't remember what character it is, but he's like, no, I never saw his wife like that. Or like he didn't find out that I ever saw
Yeah,
his wife. Or something like that.
like there was never an affair that she knew or that he knew of. I was like, what? And that was when he was old. That was old boy Oppie. Like that was he was relishing in that memory. Man, good old Oppie. Well, yeah, it's been an eventful few weeks. I actually haven't really gone to the movies these past few weeks. I was at a festival all week. Saw some good stuff there. I actually saw The Matrix. They showed The Matrix at that festival, and it was really cool. They had a screening, and this guy gave a presentation. He was a monk, and he gave a presentation before the movie about like the the abstract concepts and how even in a fantastical sci-fi action movie, there's some really grounded mythical and deeply like almost religious concepts in the movie about nostalgia and stuff like that. And it was really funny because he was basically saying like the idea of nostalgia or like fascism is basically rooted in nostalgia. And that's the whole thing of like, oh, we remember how great things used to be. I mean, that's how Nazi Germany came to be essentially, was that they wanted to recapture the glory days of Germany. And so this fascist regime emerged to kind of, you know, inherently bring that back. But their idea of it was just so hateful, and just fascism in general is just not, it's not pretty cool, man. But what
I
he
don't.
was saying about the Matrix is that the Matrix is created out of nostalgia because all of the humans were nostalgic for whatever the year was, 95, 97.
The year it came out.
No, the year in the movie. They like
Oh
create
yeah,
the
like
Matrix.
I think it's 95.
Yeah, I think it's 95. And then he rooted it into something. He's like, "Oh yeah, we it's fascism is basically we don't want to make something great again." And he was like, "What does that sound like?" And I was like, "Oh, shit, this guy's spitting."
That I've never deciphered the Matrix like that before. Actually, that makes sense. Also, the concept of just like people thinking things were better and fascism. I think putting that in any sort of movie. Have you like? Do you get frustrated when people don't understand the meanings of movies, like the deeper
Hmm.
meaning? Like the like easiest things to pull up are like people making Rorschach a hero in Watchmen, like either any version of the
Yeah.
story. Uh, or like people watching Scarface or Wolf of Wall Street and being like, he really was onto something, and they're just not watching the last like hour
Yeah.
or 30 minutes of, that, of either of those movies. Um, that's been frustrating for me lately because I saw Challengers, and as great as that movie is, the reviews scare me so slightly because I don't know who's joking and who's being
Hmm.
serious. Um, and I love the fear of media literacy that's going around film right now.
I know, right? It's like simultaneously like I'm okay with it, and it's actually gonna that's gonna loop into what we're talking about today because I'm mainly okay with. I saw someone complain on Twitter like, "Oh my God, I went to go see if Challengers was good on Letterboxd, and all I see are these horny reviews, like all these people making one-off jokes." And I'm like, "Listen, if you're tuning into Letterboxd for serious film criticism, that might be your first problem.
Yeah,
There are people who get paid and are professionals and went to school and got PhDs in this field to be a critic and, post those online that you can read or watch or listen to. And it's like one more click away than Letterboxd. And yeah, a star rating can sometimes be easier. Like, oh, I want to see what my friend thought of it. But
yeah,
you are not your friend, and you're not a critic too. You should just, if you want to see something, you should see it, I think. But if you actually want a valid like criticism and thought process about the movie, there are people who actively, for their career do that. Don't look at
yeah.
Letterbox for that. Then again, do I think some of the Letterbox reviews are a little annoying? Sometimes. I do think it's a little egregious when it's like those accounts with 50,000 followers because they post the funny haha line. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, well, that wasn't that funny because I saw one two below that said the exact same thing with different words. Do I really care though? Not really.
The thing that's frustrating is when you feel like you've seen something that's very like that should kind of be like broken down more, and then you see
Mhm.
the same joke repeated over and over,
Yeah.
maybe like phrased differently, but it's the same thing. Like my review for Challengers was a joke review because I have 85 followers and none of them interact with anything.
Yeah.
I really, and I'm not a critic, really, but I
Yeah.
just seeing everybody else's reviews, I was kind of like, oh, okay, so we understand that this is about narcissism and this is
Yeah.
about go and this is about so much, and I don't know, it's just a fun little guessing game of like, does society think that this is good or just because the people are hot, or
Yeah. Well, like for Stop Making Sense, I think my review was a joke review, and I said like, "Do you think the talking heads ever explored each other's bodies or something like that?"
Okay.
And that was a banger. That got like 6 likes. I was like, we're winning. Um, but the thing is, I wasn't gonna like review that movie because it's been out for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it's good. And it's not, I don't need to be like, the camera movement was so precise. And it's like, I don't give a shit. But for, you know, stuff I've been watching recently, I've been trying my best to give it like actual thought in what I review. Because, on the off chance that someone wants to like look at that and read it, hey, maybe that's cool. But also I feel like I have so many things I think about a movie when I watch it that
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to put it out here somehow. And it's been a lot healthier for me instead of like sitting in the movie theater thinking about what my one-liner review is going to be.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because remember past lives, I feel I regret not doing an actual review because I think mine was like crying, throwing up, absolutely devastated, something like that. And I was like, that was my immediate feeling from the theater. But I also didn't give it a star rating. So I was like, no one knew how I felt about that movie.
See, I feel that way because I think actually, like all of last year, I was going so often that like I never actually dissected anything, and I just started giving hearts to things that I liked.
Mhm.
But every single review I did was a joke review, and I remember like the closest I think I got to an actual like analysis or like my unfunny, just like real thoughts was Dungeons and Dragons. I said something about how the dragon pre-show thing where it pretend like it looks like it's coming out of the screen. I was like, that
Oh
was
yeah.
cool. The movie's great. Everything else was a joke, and it made me feel like very like okay, like that's great. I can be funny, but I need to like slow down and like, digest these things and then say things about them because, like you said, on the off chance somebody wants to read it, I don't want to. I don't know because I will talk about it more, but I like just deleted my review for Fall Guy because I was like, that's not even like an assimilation of like my genuine thoughts on the movie. That was just the first thing that came to
Mhm.
mind. That made my sister laugh in the car after we saw it.
Yeah.
So
This is probably my favorite joke review that I've done, and it's probably one of my most popular, and it's for Mission Impossible 2. And it says, I imagine two dudes walked out of the theater in 2000 and said, quote, yo, dude, this movie was fucking awesome. Let's go to TGI Fridays. I'm one
that
of those two dudes, by the way.
that was one of my favorite reviews for that film that I think I saw. Because I remember, I don't think I wrote one after I saw that because I was like, I think I just logged it when I was rewatching them all because I was like, Carlos got it the best. It felt like having frosted tips and walking out and going like, hell yeah, and then just
Yeah.
going to TGI Fridays, getting some mozzarella sticks.
And then the Transformers Rise of the Beast, when I said, what the flying fuck is G.I. Joe gonna do against Unicron? With the skull emoji. Also, one of the main reasons I bought Letterboxd Patron was because I could change the Rise of the Beast poster to the one with the stinky monkey on it, the little ape, and then they got rid of that poster.
Oh, that sucks. My
But they did keep a Morbus. I don't know if you can
immortal.
see a Morbus.
Yep, they did. Oh my god.
It's still there.
My review for Transformers Rise of the Beast was Gorilla Grip Prime with the trademark logo at the end. So I no, I don't- yeah. I might be a part of the problem more than I am the solution, I think. Because I don't even think I finished the movie. I watched it at home and I didn't finish it before I was just like, I have to. It's just stuck in my head and I won't be able to focus until I write this. And
Oh my god.
yeah.
I remember like when I saw that movie, I like audibly I didn't say that, but I like said when the G.I. Joe card happened, I think I said like, what the fuck are they gonna do? Like I was like, what is gonna happen? And then I realized, oh, Snake Eyes has killed Bumblebee accidentally like 3 times. So maybe he's fine. Maybe they're fine. They'll figure it out.
I think they'll make it work. And if they don't, it's better than Transformers Last Night. And both GI Joe movies that we got probably.
We need Channing Tatum back as Mr. G.I. Joe.
I would like that because didn't they kill? Spoiler, didn't they kill him immediately in the second
Yeah.
one?
He like I didn't watch the first one. So I remember as a kid I watched the second one thinking it was the first one and I was like, "Oh, he looks cool." And then he dies and I was like, "Oh." And I don't remember any more of that movie.
I don't think I watched the first one until like 2018, and for years the only thing I knew about it was that I had a Slurpee cup from 7-Eleven that had a holographic like 2 second scene from the movie on it, and all I knew is that they got big black suits and they got thrown through a bus because that was what happened on the cup if I turned it a certain way.
Nice. I have one of those Lunchable Spider-Man 2 cards.
Oh,
Um I forget what scene it has on it, but yeah, that was like a prized possession. I miss movie tie-in shit.
I do. I know it's just pure capitalism, but like it's fun capitalism.
Yeah.
Just getting Dr. Pepper cans with like Indiana Jones on them
Oh, dude, I still have mine.
is the best.
And the Avengers ones, the Age of Ultron ones. My
Oh,
goodness.
I remember they made a. This is off topic and it can probably be cut, but they made a very specific type of Dorito for Age of Ultron. It was like
Mm-hmm.
3D stacked, and it was like jalapeno or something.
So it was the Hulk one.
Yep. I ate that shit religiously, and then one day it was gone, and I never saw a bag without the Hulk on it, and I miss
Damn.
it so much. It
I
was the
remember,
best.
yeah, I couldn't even eat Doritos. I remember Iron Man was on the regular, Captain America was on the Cool Ranch, and Hulk was on the 3D. I never got the 3D one because I could never find a small bag. It was always a big bag, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna eat them, and no one in my house wants them, so I'll go without that one. But I remember I got so excited when I found the Captain America one. I actually posted about it on Facebook.
2015 was a wonderful time.
It was such a wonderful time. And yeah, I got all the Dr. Pepper cans except for I think the diet one, which had Ultron on it. Um, I think I missed on Black Widow too. I didn't get Black Widow because she was on the cherry. The fact that I know this is actually really sad.
I
Um,
I know it too, so I think you're fine. Because I was like, which one was Black Widow on? And then I was also trying to remember if Avengers 2012 had one.
they did, yeah. I only had the one, the tall Hulk can for that one.
Oh yeah, I think I got Captain America, and then after that, I just like couldn't convince anybody to keep buying me different flavors of Dr. Pepper to try and
Yeah.
get all the.
I have the Batman versus Superman one too. The Dr. Pepper Zero, which was Armored Batman. I need the old like Spider-Man ones.
Those I remember drinking from those as a kid, and I probably gained 20 pounds as like a 4 year old just from like over consuming Dr. Pepper because it had Spider Man on it.
I feel like those kind of things, because I remember Age of Ultron, they even did like a Subway promotion, and I was like so intent on winning that sweepstakes. I went to Subway like every other day just to buy like a soda that had the code on it. And same with Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians had one. I remember I was entering that shit every day. I was like, I don't even remember what I was entering for.
Yeah,
I think it
same
was
here.
like free footlongs for a year or something. But I was like, it had Guardians of the Galaxy on it, so I was like, I need to do it.
I remember Age of Ultron. I was destined to get Cap Shield. I like genuinely thought there was a chance that I would win that if I just kept buying $5 footlongs. And
Yeah, okay, I remember that. Yeah, because you could get Cap Shield. Or they had those like things that came out of the wall, the
yeah,
like night lights, which actually have the Iron Man one. I can't show you because I can't move my camera, but I found it at like a Goodwill. It didn't have the sticker that had like the crater, but I have Iron Man's face on my wall, and I think the batteries died. But um, that shit was bright too. I had that on like as a kid, and I could not sleep because it was just these big white glowing eyes staring at me. I never
that
understood how that was supposed to be a nice nightlight for kids.
there's a scene in Iron Man 3 where like he gets jump scared by
Yeah,
the Iron Suit standing next to him being on.
yes, I'm gonna kill Pepper.
It just like grabs her arm like ferociously.
Oh, yeah.
If that in my room, I would be terrified that like I would just feel a bunch of middle fingers like grip my forearm.
Oh my God. Yeah, movie tie-in stuff. I never forget Civil War. They did a Coca-Cola promotion for the mini cans. Do you remember the mini cans of Coke?
Yep.
I remember I was on Twitter and I wasn't using Twitter at this time, but I created an account to enter the sweepstakes. And then the next week I found out that I won a case of the Cokes, and it was all the Cokes. I was like, oh, cool. I go to the mail to pick them up. They sent me 3 cases
Oh,
because I realized I had entered from 3 accounts. So they just sent it to the same ad because I had the same name. So yeah, I won 3 cases of the Coke. They're in some storage unit. I think one exploded, but I have them somewhere. Maybe one day I'll sell them. I have my Halo Rockstar cans. Um, I have too much promotional tie-in shit.
I still have Miles Morales Burger King crowns from about a year ago.
Oh my God, that's right. I didn't get one.
I had the Spider. I can send you one. I had the Spider Verse Whopper about 4 times to a point
Oh,
where the people at Burger King knew me, and I started getting a little concerned with that. So I think I sent my mom one time. I was like, I don't like the fact that they recognize me and they know what I'm gonna order. Like, I really do want to enjoy this while it's here because they don't do this. But like, please go get it for me. I don't want them to see this.
I have such a weird relationship with the Spider Burger. I was with I literally just come home from school, and I think it was like a month after I'd been home. And so me and my brother, he wanted to see Evil Dead Rise because he hadn't seen it yet. So I'm like, okay, let's go see it. So we went to go see it, and I was like, do you want food? He was like, yeah. And I'm like, so they're doing this thing at Burger
Trying to sneakily be like,
King.
so
Yeah. It was
burger.
mainly because I wanted the crown, right? I wanted that stupid crown.
Yeah,
And also just to see like what the hell is this burger, this red 40 burger. So I went to the Burger King and I hear the drive-through and this woman, poor woman, minimum wage worker, does not speak English. And so I'm like, "Hi, can I have a Spider-Man burger?" And she was like, "What?" And I'm like, "The Spider-Man Whopper." She's like, "What?" I had to say it like 4 times. I had to like enunciate Spider-Man Whopper. And I was like, I was so embarrassed. Like I wanted to crawl out of my skin. I was saying Spider-Man Whopper
yeah.
4 times. She finally got it. And then I was like, do you want one, Kyle? And he's like, yeah. So I'm like, and another Spider-Man Whopper. So we pull up, we get it, and we're eating it in the parking lot of the theater. And immediately I know something's off. I'm like, this is not right. Like, I'm gonna get sick. Like, so we finished the burger. What I actually liked were the fries. The fries
Yeah.
were pretty good. So I was like, okay, this is decent. Brought the drink into the movie. And I surprisingly made it through the movie without getting sick, but it was when I got home that I realized something was just not right about that hamburger.
The red 40 bun wasn't sitting well with you.
Yeah, the red 40 bun was kind of crazy. Apparently it was beet juice.
I saw that. I they People were saying that like it was gonna make it healthy or like not toxic to consume.
Healthy. Oh, it's great.
I
That
remember
and the Venom burger
There was a Venom
for
burger.
Spider-Man 3,
Oh God, yeah.
the black burger
I ate the Nightmare Burger and I wasn't just sick, like I was ill.
with the Nightmare burger.
Yeah, it was green and it was supposed to have chemicals in it that
Oh,
was gonna induce nightmares.
yeah.
I ate a whole one, and I think you know how Robert Downey Jr. talked about like, oh, like the thing that got me off drugs is I ate a Burger King burger so bad that I threw it into the ocean. The thing that like wanted me to be a healthier like person was eating that,
Yeah.
sitting on my floor afterward, like sprawled and laying down and not feeling like I could get up and just being like, it's not worth it anymore to eat colored buns. I'm not doing real life pretty patties.
The nightmare was actually just your waking life.
Yeah, the nightmare with the after effects.
I remember I wanted the Darth Vader burger when Revenge of the Sith came out, but I was far too young to ingest that,
Yep,
or
that's fair.
even convince my parents to take me to Burger King to do that. I remember, yeah, I was basically like whenever a movie would come out, I would be at whatever fast food restaurant to get whatever like cup or like I still have like Deadpool, Suicide Squad, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, like cups, stuff like that.
The movie theater cups and everything.
No, like from Subway, Carl's Jr., like all that, like because I wouldn't buy we wouldn't buy stuff at the movie theater.
Yeah,
Now I do, like I have at least four different Dune popcorn buckets, and I don't have the popcorn bucket, obviously.
I have the sandworm sitting on my shelf, and I kind of question the $26 that went towards that every time I look at it. But it looks really nice when it
Does it?
when you take it off the top. It doesn't look as. Is this? Are we doing all audiences?
Uh, say it.
When you take the lid off the bucket, it doesn't look as fuckable. It just
Right.
kind of looks like a nice little
Yeah.
diorama, and
But
it's
yeah.
not. You don't have to stick your hand in it, you know.
Well, I have the bucket I have down here is massive. Here, I'm gonna grab it because this is ridiculous. All right.
Oh my god,
That's like this is like a trash can.
that you could
This is
use a trash can,
you
like put
could
a.
this is ridiculous. Like that's a lot of popcorn, dude.
I
And
have
they filled this shit.
I have a bucket right next to me. I did not want this, but I was at Cinemark and they actually ran out of like the normal paper ones, so I got it for free, and it's for the worst Jurassic Park movie.
Oh shit.
Or
But that's actually kind of cool though.
see, that's what I was thinking, and so it's hard for me to like get rid of it or toss it because I'm like, that's rad as fuck. I just wish it was for any of the other Jurassic Park movies.
Well, it doesn't say Dominion, right?
Oh, it's just got the logo and the emperor.
See, then it can be for whatever you want it to be.
I'll tell people it's for the Lost World. I
I
got that.
spent way too much I spent way too much money at Dune when I saw it because I got the cup, the Atreides cup, the bucket, and the t-shirt and the RPX ticket. I think that was yeah, that was way too much money. And then when I saw it again, I had points for the other bucket, so I was like, might as
Imagine.
well. And the second one I got was in Utah, and it's a smaller bucket, but it's metal. It's a
Yeah,
tin, and it's basically just got the whole like worm writing around it. It's really cool.
that's
I was
pretty
like,
sick.
yeah, that's nice. And then I have a Wakanda Forever bucket with a lid, a Black Widow bucket, and the Batman. I got the Batman one with the
Nice.
lid on it. So I'm trying to collect. I have a Dead Reckoning one coming in the mail sometime soon.
I didn't know they did one for Dead Reckoning.
For Regal, they did a cup, and it was I used my points on it. I didn't even buy it. I used my Regal points. It was like 5,000 points on sale. Guess they're trying to get rid of it.
I I think I have the Batman cup. I have I stopped myself because last summer when they were doing things like the giant Miles Morales head and the Barbie convertible and all those things, I knew I was gonna lose like hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Every time I went to go see something at AMC, I just knew I was gonna drop it. So I tried my hardest to stop. I think my favorite thing that I have is I have the Infinity War cup still from Cinemark.
Ooh, nice.
And I have the Batman cup, the one that's like in Boston. It's got the
Yeah.
Batmobile. Um, but I like stopped my like I almost didn't get to do Nussie because I was like, I don't. That's a lot of money, and this feels like a dangerous path. Because like,
Yeah.
and so I'm trying to like limit myself a bit, especially because like I don't know where to put them.
Yeah.
Um,
Mine are just stacked.
when I saw Barbie, my mom, I took my mom to see Barbie, uh, like kind of later and like after it came out, and she was really sweet. She got me a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles tin.
Nice.
That's really nice. But I also, I don't know. It's just I want them so bad.
Yeah, popcorn buckets, that's a thing that I don't know. I'll get them if they appeal to me or if it's like super special. But like I've been to Regal over the past couple months and like they had like a lot of leftover like Ghostbusters tins. And I was like, I don't want it. Because it says like Frozen Empire on it. And I was like, maybe. I don't know. I didn't see the movie. I'm not crazy about it. I'm not gonna buy it just to have it, you know?
I wanted the Ghost Trap from AMC, but
Oh
that's only
yeah.
and I wasn't too interested in trying harder
I
than
wanted
like
the Ant-Man helmet. I remember I was literally gonna pull the trigger on that.
that one was sick. I
I
think it's
went
still
to,
only like sorry, I didn't interrupt you, but I think it's only like 20 on
yeah, that
AMC.
one was 20 and it lights up too. So I was like, that's pretty cool. But the thing is I have an actual Ant-Man helmet, so I'm like, I might as well just look at the actual helmet and not a popcorn bucket.
No, exactly. Do you have the Marvel Legends?
I do, yeah. That was I was in 2019. I actually spent well no, I spent 50 on it because I had a $50 Amazon gift card for graduating high school. So I was like, hell yeah, brother. And then I used it for my Ant-Man cosplay because I was like, I am not trying to make a helmet. And it lights up and it's kind of a shitty helmet because it's super big and the only moving part is on the back to allow your head to go in.
Does yours stay on or no?
Um, yes and no. I like it's so big that I look like a bobblehead when I
Oh no,
wear it.
the back panel.
Oh, the back panel stays on, yeah.
My back panel doesn't stay on. For some,
Really?
I couldn't tell if it was because my head was just too big for the thing, which it doesn't feel like it is. But my back panel, every time I would wear it, it would pop out.
It determines how you adjust the strap on the head because I remember I had to like manually move it down, shift it down so that the helmet sat more down on my head, which kind of sucked because it made the visibility terrible,
Yeah.
but it did help. Like when I wore it to conventions, it was pretty uncomfortable. Like I would wear it only for photos. And which sucked because it like brought the whole costume together, but I just liked it because the antennas lit up and I could press the button, it would go red or blue. So it was worth it, and now it's kind of like just a decor piece for me. But yeah, I don't know if I would spend $100 on it now.
I know that.
Feels
After
like
I
yeah,
after Quantum, I took a picture in it and then I just kind of stored it away. And I was like, I'm never
I remember that. That was a good picture.
gonna do
I also
that.
remember the picture of you and your friend at the poster just standing there like sad.
Yeah, we weren't happy at all. I think we like went, and the funny thing too is that the movie was in 3D and we spent like 15 minutes in IMAX 3D just staring at like nothing.
Oh yeah.
So we had to go tell them, and they were like, "All right, well, we'll fix it." And it didn't turn 3D till like an hour in, and it was very jarring and sudden.
No.
And I was like,
I
"Okay,
remember the best part of that screening for me was seeing the Guardians trailer before.
oh yeah,
That was literally like because my theater was pretty full. I saw it a week after it came out in an IMAX 3D, and it was fairly full. It was a matinee, and I remember that trailer like everyone was like hooting and hollering at the end. We were like, I think Quantumania started, and we were like, oh,
yeah." Little less excited.
a little less excited. Well, I think I think it's a good time to segue into our topic today,
Yeah,
which this whole thing has been pretty casual, and I think this topic is also pretty casual. Um, Letterboxd. We talked about it a little earlier, but Letterboxd is the lifeblood that brings Gen Z cinephiles together. Um, what is Letterboxd, you might ask? If you're watching this, I hope you know what Letterboxd is. But if you don't know what Letterboxd is, it is more or less a social media app for film viewers, film lovers, um, cinephiles, critics, anybody can use this app. And you can log the movies that you watch and you can rate them, you can sort them into lists, you can create a film diary that shows catalogs, what you watched and when, how you liked it, and then you can tack on like a little review. And what we were talking about before is like a lot of people tend to do funny like one-liners about the movie, or you can actually do like an in-depth criticism of how you feel about the movie. I think the thing that separates Letterboxd from like IMDb and other film apps and stuff like that is the social aspect, but also the categorization and the customization that you can basically create watch lists for yourself, but you can share those with other people and create, group watch lists, or you can spy on other people as they and figure out what they're watching and with who. Um, because if two people log the same movie at the same time, something's up.
Something's going down.
But we're gonna give a little tour of our Letterboxd accounts. Essentially going over our four favorites and our last four watched.
Yeah. Well, which one do you want to do first? Last four watched or four favorites?
It's probably the last four watched.
Okay, that
I
works.
realize this feels like an actual like Letterboxd interview, like we're being questioned now about our Letterboxd account.
What are your top four? And we end up having like six.
Yeah. Actually, I was thinking about Emelier's masterpiece. You just get roasted in the comments. Hey, nobody watches those movies.
Austin Butler said that his favorite childhood movie was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I think.
I remember that, which is a completely normal like thing to say. I don't think it's crazy to say The Good Men, the Ugly is your favorite childhood movie. I mean, it's cowboys.
I and it's like fun, and it's not like I don't think it's that pretentious. I think
If it was like a fistful of dollars, maybe I would have been like, okay, buddy.
if he pulled out some like Sergio Leone,
Yeah.
like one of his early works before that like wasn't even released in theaters, he's like, wow, I watched this all the time as a 5-year-old. It's like, fuck off. No, you didn't.
No, Good Men, the Ugly. I mean, like, it's one of the most iconic movies ever.
Yeah.
And also, someone like Austin Butler, definitely raised in a film family, film household, like encouraged to explore that. He probably saw it on his dad's shelf or something and was like, hey, cowboys, I like this guy. I'm gonna watch this.
Even his dad just being like, hey, like this is on TV. Come check this out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exciting.
And it's got pew pew and like, cool music. What's not there for a kid to love?
And what? Yeah, yeah. I don't
Austin was getting destroyed on that press tour. Like, and Austin.
Every single time I saw a promo for Dune on TikTok, I just knew that the next video I saw was going to be to clown Austin Butler's like involvement in that video.
Search Dune on TikTok.
Or they did ASMR with sand, and literally, I not even I couldn't even like take a breath in between the next video was somebody just like playing with sand in like a bowl or like something like rice in a bowl, pretending to be
Mhm.
him talking in like the slow, silky like Elvis voice, or not silky, it's yeah like gravelly.
Yeah, good times, good times. Okay, our last four watched. Pretty pretty my last four watch has been pretty eventful, I would say. I got really bad about logging for the past couple weeks, so I got really behind. So I just didn't write any reviews for these. But my last four watched currently as it stands, I have Inception, Heat, Star Wars, and Leaving Las Vegas, which the first three of those I did see in a theater. Inception, I saw it the Regal, like the wide format, the RPX. Probably like I've always loved Inception. We talked about Inception during our Life and Film episode. Um, but that was a movie I've never seen on the big screen ever. It's always been a small screen movie to me in the sense that I've always watched it on my TV, always watched it on my phone, like on iTunes or something. It was one of the first digital copies I had. And God, there's just something about that movie, like seeing it on in a theater is just remarkable. It's a magical film. Just especially because it wasn't filmed in IMAX. It is a anamorphic film. So seeing it fill that wide screen fully just oh my God. And the sound was beautiful. The train still gets me like it's a jump scare. Like it was a really cool experience in the theater, and it was one that if it ever comes back to a theater for anybody, I highly recommend you watch it. Um, if you, especially if you haven't seen it in a theater before, probably one of my favorite like rehash experiences, and it was only one they did in that wide format too. So I was on cloud nine,
Yeah.
and Heat was pretty magical. Got to see that at my local revival. That was a pretty much full screening. I would say it was almost sold out. Um, Seeing it with an audience helps me realize how funny that movie is. The comedic bits are great and they land really well, and it's obviously mostly like Al Pacino, but there's some stuff like the other characters do that's just like kind of quirky and kind of funny, and you just can't help but chuckle or laugh. I will say there was one person in the audience that I hope is not listening to this right now because they were laughing at the worst times. Like they would laugh with everyone else, but then like something not funny would happen. Like the scene when Robert De Niro comes into the hotel room after Hank Azaria leaves with Val Kilmer's wife.
Yeah.
He like catches her cheating. Like the funny part of that scene is when Robert De Niro pretends to be a maid and he's like housekeeping. Like I always chuckle there because so not believable. But then like he bursts through the door and then
Yeah.
he's like confronting her, and this woman behind me is laughing her ass off like she was watching Click or something. I was like, huh? Ma'am, are you okay? Like she was cracking up. And I'm like, am I missing something? So that was slightly annoying. But otherwise, I mean, it was a fantastic experience.
Yeah. That's not the scene that I would expect somebody to like. Oh, this is so much funnier on the big. No, not really.
But
A
I will tell
dramatic.
you, the whole hearing an entire theater laugh at the great ass scene it made my heart happy.
I was gonna say that feels like it would fill your soul.
Yeah. Because a lot of people hadn't seen it before, so it like caught them off guard,
Yeah.
and it was just so funny, and they were just you could just hear the laughs like throughout the rest of the scene, like they could not control themselves. So that was great. That was probably my favorite theatrical experience ever, and I'm biased because it's my favorite movie. Um, Star Wars watched on May 4th. They did a screening of that. That was fun. Also kind of sold out. Nothing really special. It was the special edition, so I was kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
Um, Whenever I see the Jabba scene, I want to take my eyes out of my skull. But it's again another one never seen on the big screen, so I just figured that would be kind of fun. The final, like the trench run, still blows me away. I never know how they do that. That back in that day, that was just remarkable. And then I'm ending on a sad note with leaving Las Vegas. That was a bummer. Yeah, I can't say I enjoyed it. It gives me the whale vibes of just eternally doomed characters. But it's a beautiful movie, and Nicolas Cage is amazing. Deserved that Oscar through and through. And it was actually the first thing I've seen of Elizabeth Shue that wasn't The Boys. Um, so I need to dive more into her filmography. But that was fun. I watched it at home, and it was one that my brother was gone, so I'm like, hey, do you mind if I watch this because you've seen it already? He's like, no, go ahead. And I kind of regret doing that, but it's one that I've been meaning to watch, so I just figured I'll do it. And that was one that I actually gave like an actual review for because I wanted to. But yeah, that's been my last four. It's been fun. It's been fun seeing a lot of older films in the theater with audiences, and it's bringing me back to like why I love movies. And yeah, it feels like just good experiences in general.
It's been nice that like every theater is kind of bringing things back. The opportunity to see certain things. all the Spider-Man movies coming back, Alien, even Phantom Menace. Like I know that's already been re-released when it was in like 3D, but like it's just it's nice. So like even on like the wide scale, the smaller like oh my theaters, your theater was playing Heat or like the original Star Wars. I was gonna say New Hope, but this isn't that type of podcast. We don't
We call it the Star Wars here.
Star Wars. The Adventures of Luke Star Killer or whatever it was. The first draft was called.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was Star Killer. I was hoping that they would like get their hands on a despecialized edition Blu-ray for that screening. I was like, my fingers were crossed, and then it said episode 4, and I was like,
I think that George Lucas is like very hard on that because apparently he has to pay his ex-wife an absurd amount of money anytime that like through proper channels the despecialized editions are shown.
really?
Yeah. So it's like a very petty like business move of like it's it's a literal version of she broke, I'm up. Like that's what George Lucas did with that movie.
Wild.
My last four watch. I last night I saw The Fall Guy. Um,
Oh,
it I was offered a chance to see it. It was free for me. Somebody else bought the tickets. I had nothing else going on. It was a Tuesday night. I saw it last night. We'll cut me not knowing what day it is, and we'll just I saw it last night. Um, and I don't know why I just suddenly got very paranoid about like the dates of these things because I realized that like I'm watching shit back to back to back to back, and I had a weird epiphany of like maybe I should do something more with my life. Because my top four from when you said we need to share our top fours to like now is like completely different. But anyway, I
right.
digress. I'll keep going. The Fall Guy, which was very, it was a movie with
Mhm.
actors and a lot of stunts, and it was of the length of 2 hours. Here's the thing too, I don't want to like bash it per se because I don't think it's that egregious or that offensive. I thought it was fun. I just thought it was the most generic movie that you could possibly make. So I didn't. My original review was that was a really fun time, but then it ends with the country song.
Hmm.
Is that also kind of bothered me because the soundtrack was so disruptively generic and like noticeably like they had like a master file of like songs that were easy to get the clearance to use.
Interesting.
So it wasn't a bad time, but it was very much a time, I guess.
It's just one of the movies ever made.
It's one of the movies ever made. It's one of those things where you go to the theater to see it and you won't remember it unless somebody here's so I went with some people and one of them walked out and said that was the best movie I've seen this year. And then a couple sentences later he said this is the only thing I've seen in theaters this year. That I think that's the main audience and I think that if they like that then that's cool with them.
I think my biggest concern with it was actually just that, like its genericness. And like David Leitch is a fine director. Like he's good. He's okay. Bullet Train is a lot of fun. Like he makes fun movies. And I think I thought differently of the movie. I actually haven't seen a full trailer for that movie. But I thought it was like, oh, it's about making a movie and the stunt guy, and then all of a sudden like it turns into an action movie. That's what I thought the movie was. Like I saw the poster and I thought, oh, maybe it's like he has to actually do I don't know. I don't even know what I thought. I thought it was gonna be Ryan Gosling doing a bunch of stunts with a bunch of different stunt guys and explosions, and like it would be a Taken type of movie where he's like, actually doing action movie things. And then I heard it's romantic comedy, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, whatever. I like Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. It'll be a good time. And then I just been hearing some people saying it's a lot of fun, guys. You should go see it. And I'm like, what's it about? Why should I see it? And I don't know. I've been more intrigued in challengers, I guess, because I really haven't seen new releases from last month. So I need to watch Challengers for sure. I didn't watch Civil War. Like I just I just need something fresh, which maybe The Fall Guy will be that. I've just been a little concerned with its generic vibe.
I will say it did feel kind of refreshing to sit in the theater and watch it because it was just kind of like fun, light summertime movie,
Hmm.
and it's very hard to be very like critical of it because I was like, this is. I saw like three of these last year, and they were like the best thing I sat
Yeah.
through, even if they were good movies. Speaking of fun movies, Abigail
Oh,
from this year, wacky, zany, has no right to be as fun and as entertaining as it is, but it was, and I kind of wish that that wasn't on my top four right now because or not my top four, my recent activity because I just realized I don't get to mention seeing Alien again or Spider Man because of
damn.
Tiny Dracula Girl. But yeah,
I need Dracula Girl.
then after that is Challengers.
Okay.
I don't have much to say about Abigail besides it was one of those things where it's just like it was available. I turned it on. I had a good time. It was nice to see the directors of Scream like
Yeah.
their turnaround rate was really fast with this.
Also just a great cast in that.
It was stellar. I was kind of shocked Kevin Durant gave like a really good performance as like a big muscly kind of oaf, and that was kind of fun to see.
My last memory of him is X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Did you call me Blob?
Blob? I had that scene on repeat. I have no idea. 13-year-old me thought that was the funniest thing ever.
It just because it was like the miscommunication, and then of all people, Wolverine, the most badass, like hardened. He's like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Please don't. No, come on. No, I called you Bub, and it's like,
And
come
Will I
on.
Am was there for some reason.
Yes, he was. He gets his spine ripped out.
He does. Yeah, I remember that.
Very intense thing to do in it.
Yeah, no, not Channing Tatum. Who played Gambit?
Taylor Kitsch, I
Taylor.
think.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was bad.
2009 was something. Um, and then next on the list is Challengers, which I won't go deep into that. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It's a lot of hot, selfish people. Uh, Directed very well, written very well. You're interested in the whole thing. I think people are over sexualizing because obviously, like that's what it's
Mhm.
about. It's actually like intense and like kind of like a psychological thriller if you really break down the like manipulation and the stress of it all. I guess is the best way to put it. And like every character's motives and like their psyche and everything.
Yeah.
And I forgot it was about tennis though. Every time somebody took their shirt off, I was just like, wow. Um,
Tennis?
yeah, I was like, where? And then to end off my top four, I was gonna say to top off my top four, All the President's Men. I rewatched that.
Oh,
I showed Amory for the first time. She'd
nice.
never seen it. She's a journalist, and I think the thing that kind of wows me about that movie every time I see it is that I know what happens. I know what happened in real life, and I'm still kind of like nervous every
Hmm.
time the second that Robert Redford's, at Dustin Hoffman's door and he says like our lives could be at stake. I'm like, shit, I really hope they don't die.
Yeah.
Like I know that there's like 10 minutes left and they're not going to, but I'm like, God, like it's kind of terrifying. Like I hope everything's good. Um,
That movie is so proficient in just every way possible.
oh, 100%. I remember Aaron Sorkin did an interview one time where he was talking about how he visited the set when he was in school and they were so meticulous about it that like the person giving the tour like grabbed into a garbage can, unrolled it, unrolled a piece of paper, and it was like yesterday's baseball scores
Hmm.
just to make it that more like, and he was like, this is the sports desk, just to make it that much more realistic, like to add
Yeah.
more to the set. Like we're never going to see that. We don't need to know that, but it's just that detailed.
That's kind of it's crazy because like especially at that time, which was kind of like the turn away from studio filmmaking and that more grassroots independent style. you had actual like auteurs coming in and calling the shots and bringing people who actually like had a sense of understanding for the art form, but also exactly that beyond what the camera sees, creating a world that your characters can live in. And in all reality, that should be a movie that is like by textbook. It should just be a very slow, dry, boring movie, right? But it is one of the most like intense and like taut thrillers I've ever seen without anything explosive ever happening.
No,
It's
I don't think
really
there's not even like running really.
no. They just walk.
Yeah, and it's very like it's one of the best kind of, how is it described, mystery.
Mhm.
I was kind of shocked, but I was like, that makes sense.
It's like a
Devastating,
political thriller.
devastating detective story. I was like, I guess it is kind of a detective story. Like I
Yeah,
didn't even um in watching it, I also understood, like I kind of realized like, oh, this influenced things like Spotlight and like other films like this like a lot.
Zodiac. Yeah,
So but yeah, those are my last four watched.
right.
I I think this month alone I've watched too many. Actually, I was gonna sit here and count, but I don't want to do that. There's a little, yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and count. But a lot of them have been rewatches and just like getting back into
Yeah.
watching. It's fun and nice.
I don't know. Let's see. I watched. It says I've logged 52 movies this year. That's rookie numbers. April, I watched a lot of movies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 movies in April. That, yeah, March was crazy. And January and December. I feel like every month I'm just like the same. October was probably my busiest month. Um, but yeah, April was pretty damn good. Um, one that I watched, it wasn't on my last four, but one that I watched that I thought was interesting was Possessor. I watched that for the first time.
Possessive.
Cronenberg.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That was pretty cool. I really liked that movie. Again, I saw it on the big screen and it was a cool experience. It was one that I was kind of like, I could have watched this at home.
yeah.
Like, I don't know if I need to spend $10 on this, but it was a fun experience to see. And maybe maybe this is just a peek into my twisted mind, but I actually didn't find like any of the violence or the gore like that excessive.
Yeah.
It kind of just felt like, ooh,
See,
yee.
with Brandon Cronenberg, his two movies, I they don't shock me as much as I think he's trying to shock people because they're so involved in the story. So like Infinity
Yeah.
Pool, I remember kind of mentally prepping to see a horror, and I was like, the morality of making another version of yourself, but then not giving it the same option or choices, and like that was while like I was seeing a version of like a clone of Alexander Skarsgård
Mhm.
get like gutted like in real time. Um, and I think that's probably a credit to him and his filmmaking though, to be able to like no, it's just a part of the plot.
Yeah. It felt very much involved in the story, and I felt more invested in the characters than waiting for the next kill, like if it was very much like that, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, we're moving into our top four. Now this is the Letterboxd interview. What's your top four? Um, I'll just jump right in. Um, Bottom of my list, which I think the only one that like I feel numerically counts in this list is number one. Everything else is kind of just like, oh, these are part of my four favorite movies. Um, The Worst Person in the World, which I don't remember if I talked about that on my year in film or life in film, but I saw that one at Sundance online. It was back when they were doing their online screenings. I was at school and my friend was like, "Oh, I want to watch this movie." And it really caught me off guard because I was expecting this kind of quirky comedy, and instead I got it has its funny moments, but it's just a really devastating, epic like narrative about like falling in and out of love and finding yourself, and also realizing that you can be a really shitty person without even trying.
Yeah,
And I really like the writing and that scene where she like trips on mushrooms is one of my favorites of all time. It's just fantastic. Um, yeah, I love that movie.
That's an incredible pick, honestly. I don't really see that in people's top fours that often. I feel like it probably deserves to be there more than
I
people realize.
agree.
This is a quick story, but I did a review for All the President's Men, and a stranger, random person liked it, and I went and I don't want to like bully anybody, but I went and I looked, and their bio scared me because it was just like a small account of them turning from a film normie into like a seasoned veteran, and they were talking about like my original favorite director was Spielberg. However, that's just such a normie choice. And he's like, then I went to Tarantino, which is still pretty mainstream, but a little more underground. And it wasn't until I saw The Exorcist that my favorite, underground filmmaker was William Friedkin.
Hmm.
And I just, so I was like, I don't like the fact that this person knows I exist. I don't like the fact that they can see my account because Gorilla Grip Prime. I don't want to, I don't want to hear from them for some of my reviews.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's a I knew someone like that in school. Um, that was a tough go, hearing every week how their taste changed. I'd be like, I think Spielberg's a little too mainstream to like. I'm like, not really. I mean, he's one of the best to ever do it. He just happened to make studio films,
And he's versatile and he makes things that everybody likes.
and he makes a lot of money.
You can be good and rich at the same time.
Yeah.
Good at filmmaking and rich at the same time. You can't always be good and rich.
Um, the next one of my top four, um, is After Sun. After Sun. This was a recent addition. I just changed my top four recently. Um, Swapped out Stranger Than Paradise for this because I really like After Sun. It took me a couple viewings to really connect with it, but I knew on first watch it affected me deeply, and second watch I just realized that it was one of the first times that I noticed a director's voice in a film that small, if that makes sense. Like you can hear Charlotte Wells' voice coming out of that entire story. And it's just really it's immersive, it's devastating, it checks all my boxes of what I like from character studies and character dramas. Um, which I've been on that kind of kick lately of like really analyzing characters and finding strengths and weaknesses in characters and stories. Like I watched Double Indemnity recently and even Leaving Las Vegas and finding like, okay, even movies back in the 50s, finding how they were dissecting character in those screenplays and how not to make a character wooden. Um, which my next one is Mikey and Nikki. Mikey and Nikki is a film directed by Elaine May. Now, Elaine May is infamous for Ishtar, that
Yeah.
a lot of people either love or hate. But I need to watch The Heartbreak Kid, which I believe is the original because the remake with Ben Stiller exists, and I don't know if that's an actual remake of that film, but they had the same title. Actually, let me just look at the synopsis. Yeah, 3 days into his Miami honeymoon, Lenny meets tall blonde Kelly. This confirms him in his opinion that he has made a serious mistakes, and he decides he wants Kelly instead.
I just, yeah, the other one's definitely not. Oh no, the other one is a remake
Yeah,
by the brothers. We'll ignore that that one exists.
yeah. Has a great one of my favorite endings. That remake has an insane ending. But yeah, Mikey and Nikki, I feel like I watched not the director's cut because the Criterion channel and the Criterion DVD has the director's cut. But what I watched, I really liked. Again, full blown one night. It feels like After Hours meets Dog Day Afternoon almost. Like it has such a gritty, just these two absolutely terrible people spending a night together trying to survive, and it's just such a great character study. You have these two characters that are just horrific people, and you get to live with them for a couple hours. Amazing, amazing writing. Really, it really just hit me. It really just stuck with me. And literally, when I watched it, the day I watched it, I put it on my top four. I was like, that's going on. And then also I need to have one like pretentious pick on my top four so that if I ever get interviewed by Letterboxd, I'm like, oh yes, Elaine Mays, Mikey, and Nikki. I don't
Yeah,
think you've ever heard of that one. And then I can get made fun of because it is actually a very mainstream Criterion film. Um, and then you know what? My number one is Heat, GOAT
so
of all time.
it's Heat, you know.
It's Heat. And it's been on my top one, I think, since 2018 when I first saw it.
Yeah,
Um, it was one of those movies. I think Heat was that movie that I watched it and I realized this is my favorite movie of all time, and I don't think anything is going to change that
yeah.
ever.
I I I don't know if it's my favorite of all time, but I do think I should put it in my top four. It's just it's Heat. Like I don't know what else to say about it that we haven't even already said on this podcast, let alone what has been said about it since '95 when it came out, '94.
Yeah,
Like no, it deserves the number one spot, and I think I know a couple people that have Heat in the number one spot, and it's like yeah, it's Heat. I might just speed run these a little bit.
let's do it.
I'm gonna start at the bottom. Matter of Life and Death, the Powell and Pressburger movie. I When I went to review that, I was so moved by it and so in awe of it that it immediately became my fourth favorite. Um, and it hasn't left since. It's kind of it immediately struck a chord and it's very funny but it's also very like heartfelt and it's shot in a very beautiful way and it's also very impressive for the time. I can't think of what year it was off the top of my head, but there's very like philosophical moments that are like kind of bolstered by technological like wow how did they do that
Hmm.
when they couldn't even shoot in color, which I think the movie might be in color so that's a bad analogy, uh, but I think also like theologically
Hmm.
it's it's a very interesting look at heaven and earth and life and death and what we do while we're here, and it's also got a love story in it that's very like optimistic and like makes you feel very hopeful and it's very sweet. um and it was shockingly funny and like I said timeless. um and it was shocking like how much of it like I was able to relate to because I turned something on like the red shoes after that and I was just like
Hmm.
I couldn't get into it at the time because I was like this isn't really like this is definitely a product of its time. Like I need to be more in the mindset of like oh like I'm watching this thing from you know. But yeah, no, it's there, and I switched it out for Sing Street for like a couple days,
Nice.
and immediately back to A Matter of Life and Death though, because I just it's wonderful. I need to rewatch that soon actually. My number three is Interstellar, that I saw for the first time at 14. It was like an outer body experience. I am obsessed with the film. I love the experience that I had watching it. It was almost semi-religious, and walking out of it and knowing like this is what I love. This is what
Hmm.
I would like to do with my life and for the rest of my life because like nothing had ever felt that way. Even though I'd already loved movies, like nothing had ever like struck that big of a chord with me to make me like emotional about it. Just like the experience itself, and
Yeah.
oh, I really it's a good movie too. I really think it's probably I don't want to say it's Nolan's best because I don't want people to come after me in the comments, but it's my favorite, and
Yeah.
I think it's very indicative of him, and I like the type of sci-fi that it is.
70 millimeter re-release, baby.
I can't wait this fall.
September. I I haven't seen it. I saw it in Cinemark XD.
Nice.
I did
I
not
saw,
watch it in IMAX.
I saw it in like the Great Value brand, the Marcus Theaters Ultra Screen is what I saw
Oh
it on.
yeah, yeah. Which
Um,
they're technically like IMAX screens, like they're old IMAX screens that got bought out by different theaters.
really?
but the projection is not IMAX projection. It's just no, a normal projection.
Which like IMAX can make a lot of money licensing out the IMAX ratios of some film. We won't get into that now. I got
Yeah.
two more. Um, Number two is Lost in Translation, and that is a film that sticks with me quite often, and I think especially kind of I think it's very beautiful and very haunting at the same time because it's a very important life lesson of something that like when I watched it was the first time that I experienced something like this in life where like you meet someone that makes your life better and you have a connection with and you know that it's bound to end and you enjoy this time with them in this moment with them and eventually you have to go back to reality but like something has changed in you
Yeah.
because you have this person. And also I have like a beef with anybody that says that it's like a creepy romance movie because it's not. It's really not
Yeah.
romantic. It's this very like once in a lifetime. It's a story of like a very once in a lifetime relationship of two people that are experiencing the same loneliness, find each other, become very like intimately intertwined in like a very innocent, like wholesome way,
Yeah.
and then eventually have to depart. And they're in they're both American. They're not in America. I don't know. I love it, and I think it made me a giant fan of Sofia Coppola.
Hmm.
And I think about it a lot, and I think it's every time I watch it, I like feel very like not nostalgic, but I look back at like every time that like I've experienced something like that in life with someone, and it's just a very wonderful, bittersweet feeling, and
Yeah.
I think the film captures it perfectly. Um, Not to mention it's kind of funny too, like in a very dry, like
Yeah.
real.
It has
Um,
a good sense of humor.
Number one is Spider-Man 2. It just is, and I
Is there
don't need to explain that if you've seen them. It's wonderful. And I just saw it in theaters, and it was even better. I saw it twice
yeah,
in theaters. It was even better.
nice. Yeah, it's that's the re-releases are so funny to me because yeah, obviously I knew everyone was on board with the Raimi movies, but I think now it's just cemented
Yeah,
that everyone's on board with the Raimi movies, even Spider-Man 3. And I knew the revisionism was coming. I knew it was going to happen. I knew people were going to be like, hey, Spider-Man 3 is actually really great. And it's all three of them are very cohesive. And to me, 3 has always had its flaws. It's always overstuffed and it's obviously a little bit behind 2 in the sense of character. But 3 actually has some very solid character moments, especially with like Peter and MJ. And I still see people saying like MJ's a terrible character and like people booing in the audience whenever she comes on screen, which if you're doing that, you're just a misogynist and you have problems and you should go back to your basement. But the thing with MJ, she's actually one of the best characters in the trilogy.
yeah,
And her and Peter's dynamic is so realistic in such a non-realistic world that they're building, and especially in Spider-Man 3. Like Peter is an asshole even without the symbiote. That's the point of the movie is that he doesn't need the symbiote to be a jackass. He already is. He's become selfish, he's become self-consumed, and that's why the whole beat with Aunt May telling him if you want to marry her, a man has to put his wife before himself, and then he says, "I'm not ready. I can't do that."
yeah,
Because even in that moment, he has the symbiote
yeah,
in that moment. But Peter is always stronger than the symbiote. That darkness always lives inside him, and that's the whole point is that the alien goo comes and brings that darkness outside on the outside.
yeah,
So he always has that in, and it carries from Spider-Man 2 with his self-conscious behavior where he's unsure of himself, and that's why he loses his powers. And in Spider-Man 1, it's Spider-Man 1, in my opinion, is probably, and I'm gonna get flamed for this, it's probably the best of the trilogy because Spider-Man 1 is the most focused on a goal. It's the most focused on what it's trying to convey. 2 is just one of the best movies ever made. And 3 is just a solid conclusion. And it's really fun to see people finally get in touch with these movies again 20 plus years later and see, hey, this was not only my childhood, these are really solid movies.
yeah,
And even people aren't dropping off because Amazing Spider-Man yesterday was like sold out at my screening,
That's impressive and that's
which
exciting.
I didn't go, but I saw the tickets. Like it was basically every seat was sold.
I'm kind of curious if people are going to drop off when it gets to town because those are so new and so fresh.
Not here. Like so I looked ahead. Amazing Spider-Man 2 sold out. So they added a second showing. So I'm gonna go to that. That's the only one I'm gonna catch this next Monday. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Homecoming is basically like 75% sold out. Far From Home is, I think, sold out, and No Way Home is the only one that isn't sold.
I think it shows the power of this character in all of these movies, actually. The fact that, like, it started out as one Monday every week, there's one 7 p.m. showtime, to this is going to get like a week of an actual theatrical run, and it's difficult to get seats to them.
Yeah, that's
They,
kind of cool.
when I saw Spider-Man 3 the second time, they switched the time on us without telling us, which I was kind of upset about. And when I asked
Mm,
why, like, we had to fit in more showtimes during the day.
wow.
So us taking, we were gonna go to the 8 p.m. and they're like, well, us taking the 8 p.m. out allowed us to do like a 5, a 6, and then like a 10 and 11. And
Wow.
I couldn't be mad because I was like, that many people want to see Spider-Man 3
Yeah,
that they had to add space for 4 extra showtimes the Thursday after it was re-released.
that's crazy. We haven't
It's
gotten to more days. We've only gotten more times on the Mondays. I
yeah,
think Spider-Man 1 was the only one they added a second day for on Tuesday.
yeah.
But everything else has been all on the Monday. But the thing is that there's only one theater near me showing it, um, at the Regal. So anyone in this county who wants to go has to go down to that one and see us. That's probably why it's more popular. But it's just cool, man. It's cool to see people enjoying it again.
The hype for it is wonderful too.
Yeah. I think it just speaks not only to the power of the character, but just the movies that even the worst ones have their fan base. And like Amazing Spider-Man 2, I'm excited for the revisionism of Amazing Spider-Man 2 because I have such a soft spot in my heart for that movie. That was the second because I saw Spider-Man 2 in the theater, but I was 3 years old, so I don't remember that. I didn't see Spider-Man 3 in the theater. I saw The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So as much as I grew up with Tobey on DVD, technically Andrew Garfield was my Spider-Man. You know, he was our Spider-Man. He was the one that we were old enough to go see in the movie theater
Yeah.
and buy the toys on our own and everything. Like that was my Spider-Man. So Amazing Spider-Man 2 was one of my like most hyped movies of all time. I remember seeing the poster, which I now have on my wall upstairs with and it said music by Hans Zimmer and the Magnificent Six, and I was like, what the fuck is this? This is so cool. And then the electro theme came out, and it was my whole personality.
Yeah.
That movie changed my life.
Did you ever watch Seven Webheads? Chris
Yes.
Fenn.
Yeah.
I was watching him religiously.
Same.
Second that that first picture of the new suit dropped,
Hmm.
my life was consumed by, there was always a constant theme of like, all right, well, what's Amazing Spider-Man 2? Like what's dropped about that? And some of them were so like bogus where it was just like, there's a shadow in Spider-Man's eye. It could be Venom. Venom could be showing up in this movie. And I fully
Remember the
believe,
weird dude that was running on a building in a trailer?
yeah.
There was like a black figure just running on a building. And everyone's like, what's that Venom?
And
And
we
it's
just
just
know.
never explained.
Yeah, nobody ever talked about it.
Apparently it was a VFX mistake. That was an actual like Spider-Man rig,
Oh,
and it was just left over in the shot. So they cleaned it up for the movie, but in the trailer, it's still in there.
that's kind of, I feel like now that we've gotten the movie and that hype is not there, that makes sense.
I
The-
remember my brother, I because we worked in separate rooms and did like schoolwork and stuff, and he would always scour the internet for stuff. I remember he showed me like the first Hunger Games trailer when it came out, like the teaser, because I didn't know how to search the internet for this stuff that well. So I was always looking at the fan made stuff. I would be like Amazing Spider-Man 2 poster, and it'd be like a fan made one. I'd be like, no
yeah,
way. And so he calls me into his room and he's like, look, because he didn't see Amazing Spider-Man 1 in theaters. He was at a summer camp. So we watched it on DVD when it came out and he liked it. He was okay with it, but he was
Yeah,
very much like into the Toby ones. So I was team Andrew and I was team like, yeah, let's go. So then he showed me that first Comic-Con teaser that was like recorded inside the panel and it was the Electro teaser when he said like it was just like words on a screen and then it ended with the first look at Jamie Foxx and then
yeah,
it showed the logo and then Andrew Garfield came out in the suit and like I remember I was like literally jumping for joy in that bedroom because I was like, "Ah." It was the best day of my life. And then from that point on, it was just consumption.
yeah. Because I remember the leaks and stuff like that, and like I think I was just I don't know how I saw that or stuff like that because I was just going on YouTube and just searching like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and like buzzwords, so like leaked
Yeah,
trailer, leaked scene, leaked. I remember I was so impatient about it, and I think I did this for the first one too, that I just like searched leaked movie
yeah.
on YouTube, hoping to God that somebody like got a file of it and decided to put it on there. The thing I remember most about that was I was about to get in the shower, and for some reason I was just thinking, I was like, I wonder, like I know Comic Con's happening, I know they're gonna be there. I wonder, and I got out and I searched it on YouTube, and like there it was, and I sat in a towel for like 20 minutes just watching it over and over
Hmm.
and over. And it was like in retrospect, it was like nothing,
Yeah.
but it was just so funny because like I don't think anything will be that exciting again and that promising again.
Hmm.
And it was just like a time to be alive for a movie that like is widely panned by so many people.
Yeah. It's panned, and yet somehow it was one of the most exciting things to ever happen.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing was that the Sony leaks happened pretty much like concurrent with the film's, like after the film's release. So it was just a really bad timing. And I remember, like, remember when they dropped the first 10 minutes?
Yep.
Because Sony does that for all their movies, and it'd be like Amazing Spider-Man 2, first 10 minutes. I remember I was, I couldn't believe my eyes.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Because that was the first time we saw like the new suit in action. We saw the swinging. It was a whole truck chase, which I'm amazed they put that online. I don't know why they did that. They could have
Not just
put the plane hijacking,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
but they put that scene, and that was what I had on repeat. Like, because that was also the first time you heard the music, the theme. I was like, what? That
Done.
was my like awakening of something. I don't know. I needed it in my veins. And so when I saw it, this is a format I never recommend seeing a movie in because it's horrendous. But I saw it in D-Box, which was the moving seats.
Yep.
Only movie that was ever worth it for.
Really.
Only time it worked. Because I remember I thought it was really cool because they had it at a local theater. And I was like, you know what? When you go on a $5 Tuesday, it doesn't cost extra. It costs $5.
Yeah.
So we saw pretty much every major movie in that. Like we saw Amazing Spider-Man 2, X-Men Apocalypse, um, not Guardians, but Transformers: The Last Night, or Age of Extinction, Ant-Man. We saw a lot in that D-Box format. And pretty much every movie I saw after Spider-Man was just not right. There was something wrong. It did not feel enjoyable. But there was something about Spider-Man that it was like maybe it's because of my first time doing it, but it just felt like great. I was like, holy shit. I feel like Spider-Man right now. Like that was just a moment. I remember that was probably the best day. I remember I got those like movie ticket coupons from Blu-rays or something where you buy Spider-Man on Blu-ray and you get the ticket. That was just, yeah, that was a moment.
What was I gonna? I wonder if they thought about because I've been thinking about the re-releases, and I wonder if they've thought at all about bringing any of them back in premium formats
I know, I thought about that too.
because like they could sell out a couple IMAX showings, and all of them have been in IMAX since Spider-Man 2. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. Um, People would go crazy to see this in D box right now.
Dude, Amazing Spider-Man 2 in IMAX would be religious.
Yeah, I would love to see him swinging on like the biggest screen that I could find in my area. It's like
I
it's
would
so
just the
because
music, dude.
the music and then like it's the most realistic swinging that I think we've ever
Mhm.
got. Where it's like the physics are there, but then also it's like the wind rippling against his suit because
Yeah.
like even skin tight can't be skin tight. It's beautiful. That's not a
Yes.
that I'm
I'm
excited
I'm
for.
excited. I'm gonna check it out on Monday, and it's the only Spider Monday I'm going to. That should be fun. I was like, oh, maybe I'll see No Way Home, but I'm like, I saw that 7 times in theaters, so maybe I shouldn't see No Way Home. The
You could
magic's kind of lost.
round it up, make it an even number if you really want to.
True. Unless if I check and it's like people are actually going and it's gonna be like a sold out screening, I'll go. Because that would be kind of fun. Because the one of the last few times I watched that movie, the theater was emptying out like crazy. And the last time I saw it was the re-release, like the extended cut,
Yeah,
and
the
that
more
was yeah, the more fun stuff. And I think it was literally just me and 2 other people in that theater. And so
stuff.
it was like that's when I realized the magic of that movie was lost on me because I was starting to see that it was edited for fan reactions. Like it was edited for cheering, and I was like, "Oh, this is a bad movie."
I, it was really weird to me because I this sounds pretentious. I don't want to be like, well, I know it's the first, but like it was really funny to me that like when Andrew pops out, I was so excited, but then there's that moment where he's just like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, and he's not saying, and it was so weird because it lined up perfectly with how people were clapping and everything, and then I could just kind of tell I was like, that's a little longer than I think it should have been.
Yep.
And then Toby comes in and they do the same thing where it's just like a shot of him just kind of like looking like he just walked down the stage of SNL.
You just need a
It's kind of
you
like this
need
for like
a laugh track.
a solid like extra 30 seconds.
I think
And then it was, oh, sorry, go for it.
Soups on Twitter, he posted and he was like, there should be an option on the No Way Home Blu-ray to turn on crowd cheering for these moments because it's so awkward without them.
It is, yeah. Because once it came out on digital and I tried to watch it with Anne Marie, I was sitting there and I was like, she's not reacting. We just had to
Yeah.
sit through like 20 more seconds of Andrew Garfield kind of with his hand up. She hadn't watched those yet. She wasn't excited about it. So
Oh my God. Oh man. Yeah, that and the Matt Murdock. Like it's already just like the cane for like 5 solid seconds and then he sits down and I'm like, that is not an artistic choice. Like that is simply just to make people go, whoa.
that is it. Do you guys remember this? Which is then funny because then when he gets his new suit, they're like real good at hiding it.
Yeah,
Like, no, you can't see it. He's
you
swinging too
can't.
fast. What do you mean
I
you want
like
to?
that movie is so funny. Like for as massive of a movie that is on paper, I'm just amazed it looks that bad.
Yeah,
Like I just do not know how it's possible you can get the most legendary cinematic culmination of all time, even bigger than an Endgame, and I mean you have 20 plus years of film history there in one movie, and
yeah.
it looks like a CW show. Like I don't get me started on No Way Home. I love No Way Home with all my heart. It's like the best one of the best experiences in my life. Nothing can take that away from me, but I just can't watch it now. I physically don't think I can watch that movie anymore.
I don't blame you at all. I think
But
that's a reaction, honestly.
yeah. But anyways, I'll see Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'll see if I feel any different about it, which I probably won't. I still like that movie. Um, but yeah, the Spider-Man days have been fun. Fun to see people engaging with the films again. But that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, I was gonna say the line from the end of No Way Home where he's like trying to thank him, and I forgot the line, so I didn't want to look like an ass.
It's what we do.
It's what we do. Yeah,
It's what we do.
yeah, we know. It's what we do.
It's what we do. It's what we do. Yeah, I'll never forgive them for stabbing Toby and then making him like immediately okay.
I'll never forgive them for just like rotoscoping and reusing scenes of the lizard and
It's
Sandman.
sad.
The most memorable scenes from those movies that they were in too.
I know, because like they're acting like we didn't watch those movies religiously as kids.
They're
Like
also
I know
acting,
that shot of Sandman.
they're also acting like anybody who didn't see them before doesn't have them fresh in their memory because they just watched all of them.
Right, yeah.
I
Like
remember
the
that
worst
really
one
emotional
is when
scene
he's like
with Sandman away.
and he's like turning human again, and I'm like, wait, that's not right. He's turning into mud in that scene
Yeah.
because he looks like so afraid. And I'm like, oh, that's not like the lizard one was okay, I think, because it was definitely that shot when he's on the top of Oscorp and he's like de-lizarding. So most of them were fine. It was the one when he goes back to his universe when he's like looking up that I was like, dude, that's terrible. Me and my brother like laughed when that happened. I was like, oh,
I remember the people I went with, I tried to bring that up where I was like, oh, it was so great. And then like there was a bit of a silence and I was like, but that really pissed me off. And they were like, oh, fuck you. It was fun. Why do you have to? And I was like, because I know these movies like the back
yeah.
of my head. I've seen them so many times. They couldn't even fake like a new way. But
Also, like, it just doesn't make sense. Sandman doesn't make any sense to me in that movie because at the end of Spider-Man 3, he,
doesn't die.
well, he doesn't die, but also he's they forgive each other at the end of the movie, and
Well,
so he
I
goes
guess
off.
I guess it starts and he's like, Peter, I'm here to help you. And he's like, you're not. Who the hell are you?
Right, he's like not untrustworthy, but then he's like in the final battle, he's like ready to kill these guys.
Yeah.
Like he's like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm gonna swallow. Like he recognizes Toby's suit, and he's like, I'm gonna eat you. Like I never understood that. Like it should have been Tom trying to help Sandman. I don't know. It's
The other,
really weird.
the other thing that bugs me is that Lizard and Sandman shouldn't be there at all because the entire premise of Peter trying to save them is that they're going to go back and die.
Yeah,
Neither of them die. And sure, neither of them know that, but they are the two where they didn't actually get the actors back. They both were pretty well reformed.
yeah,
Lizard's Connor saves Andrew Spider-Man. He doesn't have to. He climbs
yeah,
with one arm to the edge of the building and is like holding on to him. You didn't need to include those two, I don't
yeah.
think, especially because like it doesn't even make the Sinister Six.
Yeah, it is very odd, and it would make a lot more sense if it was just Goblin, Electro, and Doc Ock, which I get the point was they wanted to heal Doc Ock and then make him like the savior again, which makes sense. So even if they brought like fuck, I don't know, like I mean bring Venom into the mix at that point. Like I don't know, it's really weird. And it's just a very odd choice, especially like Lizard is like he's trying to kill Andrew again, and I'm like, why? like they were fine, and also he like respects Peter, and when he's not the I don't know, it's really weird.
Neither those
And
two
Toby never got to fight Green Goblin.
Sandman doesn't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Oh
No, he
no,
does.
he
Yeah,
yeah,
he does.
at the end.
They all know Peter is Spider-Man.
This is before the end of the movie, and he's supposed to die at some point. He doesn't know Peter's Spider-Man until the very end. Otherwise, it's just a stranger.
But he tells Tom, "You're not my Peter." And even
Do you
Doc Ock knows you're not Peter Parker.
think they like met up and had lunch one day
Yeah, probably.
afterward? Like Toby's Peter and Thomas Hayden Church of Sandman were just like, so sorry I tried to murder you publicly with
Yeah.
that black goo.
Sorry I turned you into mud.
Do you want to go get the Spider Verse burger? That's
Yeah,
you got at Burger King. It seems like it'd be your thing. Yeah.
that would be something that Peter B. Parker does.
Yeah. 100%.
That's like a
Try.
perfect closing note right there. That was perfect, actually. You
Yeah.
brought the bit around to the
Also,
Spider-Verse burger. That was great.
I'm proud of that one. I appreciate. Yeah.
We need more of that. Well, I've had a blast. This has been a good one. I think going forward, what I really want to do is make these a lot more conversational. And obviously, yeah, we have a structure, but in our topics, but I mean, we like to talk. We like to yap about this stuff. We go on tangents. We have our little niche interests, and we want to share them with everybody.
a little like 10-minute talk about TASM 2, and just kind of like
Exactly.
came out and like, you know, yeah,
All right. Well, yeah, this has been a success. Season
yeah,
one is a go. We are rolling, and we're rolling with a bi-weekly schedule. So we'll have more focused topics, and you can see the roadmap on our Instagram. Check out our Instagram for clips, reels, highlights, and every single way that you can listen to and watch us yap about our interests. And yeah, we just hope this gets bigger and better from now on.
yeah. I'm excited to see where it goes. Glad we didn't get canceled in the first 3 minutes.
We were close. We were very close.
We were towing the line a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're on thin ice.